My friend, have you had a day to shake it off?
A full day. This is like a rarity in recent podcasting habits.
Well, we had to take the extra day because there was additional recovery required.
I think the team needs that time too.
I think that, well, I don't want to just trash talk our team, but it sounds like they need more than a day.
Ooh, sounds like based on what?
Just, well, I mean, based off of the performance.
Based off the game.
How things went against
Right,
Victus Gaming. That was not a fun one, was it?
No, it wasn't. But this is a fun one. This is the Den of Thieves podcast.
Nice transition.
expert transitions.
We are experts. We are Silver 2 podcasters.
Moving up. I see. This is good.
Right.
It's ever improvement. I am this expert. He is that expert.
The expert formerly known as Cole, and he's the expert still kind of known as Jordan. And this is the podcast, like he says, still known as Den of Thieves.
Currently known as.
Yeah. Whoa. We threw this name out just out of nowhere, right? And kind of stuck with it. Who knows what crazy stuff we're gonna do after Worlds is over, right?
You guys should see we're gonna completely flip the meta upside down for season 2 of Den of Thieves.
The podcast meta.
We're gonna do it in Spanish. Why not? The Fiesta meta, the true Fiesta meta.
I am spending the whole off season learning Spanish just for that.
You got to. I mean, hey, it's you got to play to what they change the meta to.
Yep. Well, I hope we can find a way to play with this World's meta because, man, what a stinky loss.
It was a poo-poo game.
What a booty game. It was boo-boo.
Yeah, it was. Although I think you are further. You've revised your assessment of our Fnatic loss being the worst possible loss. If I'm not want to put words in your mouth.
Well, I did say mentality-wise, and I'm not sure which loss is worse. I mean, this one was obviously much quicker.
Let's talk through it. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do this.
Go draft. All right, so we did not ban Aurelia, which I was alarmed at. I was question mark pinging, but that's because we took it for Someday, which was great, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, what a nice little twist. We've never seen Someday up there. Wow, taking Aurelia top. Yeah, why not? I've seen it done before.
I mean, I think she is the top laner. Like, I think she by her by design.
Yeah, well, I feel like we see her most in mid, but anyway, Anna took Xin Zhao, Ryu took Rise, the old familiar comfort food of Ryu Rise. Rikara back in action, took Varus. That's a champion Cody Sun doesn't play.
Or is it a champion Rikara plays?
Yeah, apparently not. And Afro took Braum. Flipping over to the other side, as we kind of alluded to, the Shy made his comeback, and he played Sion. Ning, did I not say Ning is scary?
Dude is scary.
He took Camille. Ricky was on Lysandra, which I'm cool with that. Like Ricky getting Lysandra, I was like, all right.
I mean, that's like if you
about as good as you can do, right?
Right. It's like if you play 100 Thieves and we draft Ornn for Someday, and they're top. If you're playing top and you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
This is just the self-deprecation podcast. Jackie Love took Kaisa, which have we seen a game where Kaisa was not played by either side?
I don't think so.
I literally can't think of one that I've watched. I've watched most of the group stage.
Yeah, and
off the top of my head, at least, I cannot think of a single game where Kaisa hasn't been played. So that's kind of nuts.
PS, loving the group stage. Wow.
Yeah, group stage is fun. And Baolan took Thresh, which ended up being tricky for us.
I could have called it. Thresh is a power pick, man.
Yeah, right now Thresh is doing pretty well. I came out of that draft again excited about the Someday pick. I really felt like, okay, that's like a little bit unexpected and super carry potential. and that's the one thing I felt like we needed to shake it up if we were going to do anything against IG.
Mhm.
And man, what a start!
Oh, the start was amazing.
The
Outplay. We
start
outplayed
was
IG.
unbelievable.
Just it was like I trying to remember. We both watched this one, but it was it was kind of over so quick that we didn't realize the other was watching before.
Yeah, I'm not sure we officially
We
exchanged
didn't.
messages.
But I was texting you, and I didn't want to spoil it if you weren't watching it live. But it was like elation. It was
I was
jubilation.
riveted by the start and wasn't looking at my phone. Um, yeah, because Ryu rotated up,
Mhm.
get that first blood off, and we got 2 kills up top like right away.
In what should have been a 1 for nothing.
Yeah, which should have been 1 for nothing the other way.
But Anda's spidey sense started tingling.
Yeah.
He's like,
How did he sniff that out?
I don't know, man, but it was
It was like he like walked towards the bush and was like, "Wait a minute."
nope.
Turns around and then so we basically start the game up 1K.
Yeah, just like a free, like we got the premium 1K. You know, we use our premium currency, in-game currency.
But it ended up
We
being
spent
like,
$5.
yeah, right. It ended up being like the last meal before your execution.
Yeah,
Where
or
it's like you
yeah.
get that nice moment of pleasure and indulgence.
IG was like, whatever you guys want. You want a double to start? Sure.
Yeah, you want 2 kills? You want to take down the shy? All right.
No, but in all
do.
seriousness, that we got that kill because Anda outplayed IG at the start.
And the roam from Ryu. You can't count out that roam.
And it,
but yeah, you're right. You're right. Anda did outplay.
It was a 2-0 because Anda, like he was dead to rights. He should have absolutely died in River, and it wouldn't have even been, because it probably would have been a 1 for 1, right? But it was a 2 for nothing because he kited perfectly. He got in exactly the right number of autos. Like, dude just played it. I mean, he had a lot of help, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like he was 2 versus 1. He got 2 kills out of it, but he did his job, man.
Yeah,
hats off, Anda. That was an awesome start.
Well, what a start it was, and what a turn. What a 180-degree spin that happened right afterwards. So
yeah,
there's not a whole honestly, there's not a whole lot of point talking about most of this game. I think there are maybe 4 moments to point out, or 3 moments to point out, and then one like general thing. Here's a general thing. Yeah. I'll start with this. The general thing. Someday looked great. He still looked great, and he looked better than the Shy.
Yes.
Now, people will probably talk about us visiting top a couple times with Anda, and like I said, with Ryu to get kills on him. Like he didn't get soloed down by Someday, but Someday still looked great. Someday still looked in control of that matchup
for sure.
So basically, more proof of what we already knew about that guy. So that's like the general takeaway for me that I would point out. And then the 3 moments are all very bad moments. Very sad things to think about.
No good, very bad moments. Number 1.
Number 1 would be the misplay down in bot lane where Aphromoo flashed backwards away from their pressure and flashed out of the way of Rakara and left Rakara to die. Now, okay, so I play ADC, right?
Yes, you do.
And when I was watching that, I immediately thought, well, that's like, if I was in that situation, I would have gone to that point. Like if I was Rakara, I would have been retreating to the point where Aphromoo still would have shielded. So it is a weird flash from Aphromoo for sure, but at the same time, I felt like if Kara was positioning correctly, he still would have ended up behind the shield. Now, that's just my reaction to that. And I could be wrong, but when I watched it, I felt that. I was like, oh, well, he should be back there. Aphromoo probably just assumed that's where he was going.
Right.
But it was still weird. It was still weird.
It's kind of one of those where, in hindsight, which this is truly one of those hindsight, like we're breaking down what we know happened. But I I don't even know why you flash there, because if you know a lasso is going to come out, and you know that even if you flash, you are in lasso range. Like, would Afro have been out of lasso range? I guess if Ricard didn't grab that hook for him, would he have actually been out of lasso range? I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, I honestly would have to watch it again, and
Yeah.
I'm not into causing myself pain, so I haven't.
Yeah. But is it one of those where you're just like, look, you're up against Thresh. You guys got caught out. Take the hook, take the L, jump back in lane and redo, right?
Yeah, better for Braum to get taken down.
Save your flash, make sure there's not a follow-up.
Yeah.
But
well, okay, so that's just my loose explanation of maybe what happened, is that Aftermoo was expecting Ricard's positioning to be a little bit better.
Can I just say that is not the first time that play has happened to us in bot lane? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really? It didn't ring a bell per se, but
and it could just be that like in my worst nightmares, I've seen that play unfold. But I'm pretty sure it's happened before. And I'm like, I don't think this is a trend or it's something. It's just one of those where it's like, oh, that was a really bummer play. Like, I think that's happened to us before.
It was a bummer play, I'll tell you.
It was a bummer play.
And
that was kind of like a foreshadowing of what was to come, right?
Yes, it was a very eerie foreshadowing. Now, let me point out, after that play, we got another kill on the Shy.
Yes.
And it looked great. It looked well coordinated. And so I was like, okay, yeah, it doesn't even matter, man. We're still in control of this thing. But bot lane was getting shoved in really bad, even though top was going well. And then we had the goofy play by Ryu, where he went across our jungle, and instead he didn't hit the blast cone, seeing two in pursuit collapsing to him and moving towards bot lane where they have more people available. He didn't hit the blast cone, and then he started the blue buff. And I'm not sure what happened. I'm not like, did he short circuit?
I'm gonna call it D+ jungle pathing is what that is. Like, that was like Ryu being like, yeah, I used to play jungle back in 2013. I know how to do this. Like, bro, that was the suboptimal path you took there.
It was really crazy, and it full out cost Anda his life. So it wasn't even just Ryu. It caught Anda out too. And at that point, there was no looking back for Invictus. They steal the buff, and they punished really, really bad and just shoved in bot lane. Took a really early tower.
Yeah, that was like 8-minute tower, dude, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then here, so we'll talk about the actual plays, and then we'll talk about just in general.
Can I go back to the replay really quick?
Sure.
Here's what it reminds me of. J.R. Smith. In game one, and I'm not saying that Anda is a LeBron James caliber player, but that's how he must have felt at that moment. He was walking around the jungle. He's like, Ryu, what are you doing?
For those of you who are not familiar, in game one of this NBA Finals, the Cavaliers had a chance to knock off the Warriors at their place at the end of the game by getting an offensive rebound off of a free throw, which is insane and almost never happens, especially in crucial moments. And J.R. Smith, who got the rebound, dribbled backwards and didn't do anything about it and just ran out the clock.
He just forgot to try and win.
Forgot that he was supposed to win. He thought they were up or something.
So it's like Ryu just forgot.
And there's a famous picture of LeBron James looking at J.R. Smith right after the time ran out, where LeBron's like standing like with his hands out, like pleading, like what on earth? Like he's like gesturing towards the heavens like or the clock or something. Like, dude, what were you doing? And yes, so that's wow.
That's how I imagine Anda felt in that moment.
Probably did feel a lot like that. It's a wonderful analogy.
Thank you.
And here's so, like I said, well, I'm going to come back and talk about Ricard a lot.
Are we done talking about? Let me know before we're done talking about Ryu, because I just have one quick thing to say before you move on.
Go ahead with Ryu. Yeah.
Okay. So I talked about how his job in this game up against Rookie. I mean, he even caught some slack in that Rookie wasn't on a champion who you would expect to absolutely dominate and take over the game. Sure. His job was to not lose us the game. I said that, and I think that's a bit harsh, but I think it's true. And he didn't lose it in lane, but I would say he he it's close, right?
That
It's
was a
close.
turning point.
It was a
That for
turning
sure
point.
was a turning point because I think like I don't think Invictus was intimidated by our start at all. Like I don't think they were really shaken by that, but at the same time, I think there was some more respect there until that Ryu play happened. And
Right.
once the Ryu play happened, it was like, all right, yeah, this is what we thought it was. We're gonna just shove in and destroy them, right?
Yeah.
So I think there was they shifted gears as soon as that happened. So I would agree with you on that. And that's so unfortunate because we've defended Ryu all year long and he's been solid all year long, but now it's not going to matter because the people who have talked bad about Ryu are just going to see this as at these last couple of games, as
Mhm.
proof of the whole thing. No, he's terrible. And
Well,
just were his solid play for us all year.
I think what we're seeing is I think we're seeing his skill cap. Like I think we're seeing his ceiling. And I think our world's group is here, and I think his ceiling is here. Right? Like
But look,
just a bit below it.
I disagree with this because here's the thing, like he didn't make stupid plays like that in the regular season. That was just a short circuit in his brain, right? I think he just has like some yips, man.
Could be.
Maybe he just feels the nerves now, like after what happened against Caps. Maybe he has his faker flashback nightmare every night. I don't know, but I think I wouldn't say that this is just his ceiling and that he plays that way against really good people because, I mean, just going into the jungle that way is just not something he would ever do.
So my rebuttal,
regular season.
I don't think we won't settle this, but my thought on this one is probably in an interview said he was watching the Liquid, I think maybe the first Liquid game, where they go for a Drake, I think it is, and he sees the other team they're playing, it's probably KT. He sees them absolutely punish and destroy Liquid for that. And he's like, Liquid gets away with that play every game, or not every game, but he was like all the time in NALCS because the teams aren't good enough to punish them as badly as they should be for making that play. And so I think I agree with you. This is a bit of like an uncharacteristic, like maybe there's just a mental lapse thing because he doesn't make this play all the time. But part of what I wonder is he doing things that he can typically get away with in NALCS? And this one seems like maybe a stretch because it's just like, well, that seemed really like a bad idea, no matter who you're playing. But I also wonder if he's just being exposed a little bit for kind of the shortfalls of his game that are being exploited by those who are better.
Well, I think that you're correct in that he's not in that class with them, but I don't think that this plays evidence of that. And that's I guess where I fall on it, but not to dwell on that. Because that is what it is, and the meat of what we needed to talk about is what's happening in bot lane.
Let's hit it.
So yeah, the Varus pick on Rakara was very, very rough, and there were two really bad missed ults from him where I think he had his finger on the trigger shaking, and he was just ready to fire it off. Just like the first time he missed the ult, he flashed way too early also. He could have maybe survived that encounter if he didn't flash right away. But he did and paid the price for it. And Ning was right there to just make everybody look bad too.
Yeah.
After this happens, they redive bot again. And guess what? Rikara comes back down and he missed another ult around. I think it was right when they were pushing with Rift Herald, right? And they Rift Herald got all the way to tier 3 against us. So took down 2 turrets and got a charge off on the 3rd.
That's a lot of Rift.
That is a lot of it. I'm not sure I've ever seen it in a pro game go like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not sure I've seen that outside of bronze happen.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
And yeah, so we had another missed ult from Rakara, and they just absolutely destroyed us. They were inside our base at 16 and a half minutes.
That's remarkable, man.
Which is basically like how long early laning phase goes.
Right. There's another game I was watching. I was like, this is the opposite game of what we saw. It was 3-1 after like 18 minutes. I think maybe the RNG Genji game from today, and they were playing it slow, and
Yeah.
it was different. It looked like a different game.
It felt different.
Yeah.
Wild Shot in YouTube chat says, I don't like Varus as a defensive pick. It seemed like an odd draft pick. Here's what I'll say about the Varus pick. I think I get it. I think Varus Braum seems like a really safe way to lane.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a way where, you know, we're not going to try and be aggressive and make any plays, and we're going to try and not lose terribly. And we're just going to have like a big meat shield in front of someone who has a lot of poke and just play safe. Unfortunately, it just did not go well. And the last ditch defensive tools that both of those champions have were not executed the way that they should have been.
Yeah.
So I don't mind the Varus pick in theory, but seeing Rikara on it was terrible. And I think I tweeted never again. Never let Rikara play Varus again. So Wild Shot, I think the pick was okay on paper, but yeah, I'm just not, just with the way Rikara played it, it was not good.
Yeah, I feel like the way I'm kind of leaving this phase of our world's journey is, so our ADC matched up against what, you know, like the casters are talking about it. Jackie Love is somebody who Uzi respects a lot. That's saying a lot.
And he's what, 17? So
yeah, he, you know, the world's in 4 years. He'll be the king. Like he'll be the crown will transfer from Uzi to this kid for sure, as long as he continues at this pace, and maybe not even 4 years from now. But the thing that I think I've learned from this is we need to get a lot better at counter picking, and not so that we can win, but so that we can avoid being crushed. Like, because we've seen 2 games now where we've been crushed pretty badly. We knew that Kai'Sa was going to be a power pick, and that, you know, at this point, everybody's playing Kai'Sa. Like you said, we've seen Kai'Sa in every game. Who is the champion that you can play to minimize your losses against Kai'Sa? And we need to be able to play that champion. And if it's Varus,
I was going to say, isn't it? I mean,
and if it is Varus,
right?
and it's just that Rikara is not good enough at Varus, then what I'm getting at is we need to get that much better at it, right? And you look at the RNG Cloud9 game from today, and Sneaky took Sivir, right? Yeah. And he took it because he knew that Uzi hated playing against Sivir because he was getting pushed back and he had to play under his turret the whole time. So that's a very specific example of a matchup that is beneficial and advantageous to us, or to the team who's playing against the person. But we need to get better at that kind of thing, because I think what we do is we know what a good matchup should be, but it's not necessarily a power pick for us.
Yeah, and maybe that has something to do with the decision to play Rikara. Like we mentioned, the champion pool depth that he has as compared to Cody Sun. Sounds like Cody Sun doesn't play Varus either, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe we shoehorned him into that situation. But you're right. I mean, yeah, you got to be able to make it work, you got to know how to play him.
And some metas are more favorable to teams than others, right? Sometimes your pocket pick favorite, or your main or your one trick is the best champion in the game. That's great for you. So there are times where you can get a bad draw. Like there's a world's patch, right? And they change things, and sometimes that makes champions better or worse.
Yeah.
But I just feel like we've got to get way better at that.
Yes, we have to fix our bot lane as well, because so here let's talk about Rikara globally right now, if you don't mind. So now we've got 3 games with Rikara at Worlds groups, and we saw 1 great game from him, and we saw 2 very bad games from him. I would say like the game against Fnatic was pretty dang bad, and then the game against IG was disastrous for him.
Yeah.
So something that we talked about is maybe splitting the games. So having Rikara and then switching into Cody Sun. What do you see happening, and what do you think we will learn from what the team does in this situation?
So I think there's value in qualifying the type of disaster you see. So the game against Fnatic, I feel like it was almost more of just the whole team was having, like, nothing was working, right? And then I think the second game, 9-0 and 9 game, I think there was it's seeming more after we watch more games, like that was an opportunistic game for him, like we talked about, and like I know other people talked about.
We talked about how it probably looks better on paper than he actually played it, right?
Exactly. And you hit
even though no joke, no doubt, it was still a good game.
Yes, it was a good game.
Dialed back maybe a little from what the stat line looks like. Yeah.
Right. And so I think this following game against IG really, to me, emphasizes that point even more, which is I think what we saw in the IG game was just actual mechanical weaknesses where he had opportunities to play things very differently, and he missed those opportunities. And to me, that's almost more concerning in that, when the macro is the problem and we're losing in all lanes and we're falling apart and it's just not there. This game felt just like we were getting beat almost in the micro, right? Like there were a couple of plays that went really wrong and then everything broke. So to me, that's where I think how I'm contextualizing the 3 games we've seen from him. And you asked, where do I see us going from here?
Yeah. And Eric in YouTube chat also, he wants to know, do you think 100 Thieves start Cody for the next game?
I think at this point, I think it's almost a question of okay. It is a super important question to ask, because don't forget that both Team Vitality and Cloud9 were 1 and 2 coming into today, and they both had a shot up until the very last game of making it out of their group. So it's not over by any means. We don't have a Genji in our group, so that, take that for what it is, but we're still alive. Like, we're not out. So it matters a lot. And I think with that, I almost think we do start Cody Sun. I think we do. And I think that we do because it's hard. It's hard. I just feel like I don't know that we can count on. I think it's pretty clear that when we're playing a team who is better than us, Rikara is not able to kind of develop us the momentum, the leads, the overall position to win these games. I think he can do it against a team like G-Rex. And I think we've seen him do it in an odd game against a team that is better than us. But I think overall, we have enough data now to say at this point, it's probably worth mixing it up.
Well, I think in the game, so you're referencing the other games, which, Liquid and TSM. Yeah. I think in those games, he wasn't a carry, even though he did very well, right? So he's not ADC, he's just AD. And he did
AD cleanup.
Yeah, AD cleanup. He did fine in those moments, which was great. But I think my take on it is that he seems very mercurial. So you're not sure which version of Rikara is going to show up. Mm-hmm. And then I'm seeing chatter online about him being maybe very tiltable and just sometimes just flip out during scrims, flip out during solo queue or whatever. Mm-hmm. So if there's truth to that, I think it just reinforces what, the game data shows that we're not sure which Rikara is going to show up.
Right.
And honestly, I feel like when we're really outmatched against a team that is like, in my mind, I still think Invictus Gaming is significantly better than Fnatic. I
do too.
And I said that before this started. I think a lot of people have Fnatic as the number 1 overall out of this group, but I think people just missed how good IG is. And so I think they are a notch above Fnatic. Mm-hmm. I think in a situation with a team that good, I'm going to roll the dice on the Mercurial option, because if I have Cody Sun and it feels more stable what performance I'm going to get, but it's not enough, then why is there any reason for me to believe that could work? Whereas if I've got this guy who, 2 games out of 10 will pop off, Well, maybe it's one of maybe it's one of those 2 days.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with Rikara playing against IG. That said, I would much rather see Cody Sun at this point because I think we have enough data on Rikara to know that it's unreliable. And I think against G-Rex and Fnatic, we definitely need the more reliable option. Fnatic, even though they crushed us in the first game we played, I think you're right. I think things were just kind of off, like all around. I think if we're playing our game and we have Cody Sun at his like reliable level, I think we could still pull that game off. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's doable.
Right.
Whereas if we're humming and Cody Sun is playing, the Cody Sun that we know, I don't think that gives us enough to take IG down.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think that we're probably picking between a 3% victory chance or 5% victory chance for IG. So I don't know that you lose much sleep over that decision, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what order our day 2, our kind of our second round robin is in. Do you know by chance? Is it?
No, but while you're talking, I'll pull it up.
Thank you. I think that actually Cody is a more appealing matchup against Fnatic because Reckless is not double lift, right? We know that they play around him differently. They rely on him doing things differently. They play a little bit more like, Tristana is one of his favorites, right? Like they play more of the hyper carry, mid to late game. So I think it's almost more like if we're going to beat them at their own game, I think we have a better chance of doing that with Cody Sun than Rikara because, like you said, bad Rikara might show up and then it's not going to matter if we make it to late game as much.
And one of the consistent things we've seen about Rikara is that he has trouble CSing
yes.
up to what his opponent's going to do.
Right.
So that, that's a huge thing when you're trying to stick it out for the late game. Now, that being said, so the order is we play Fnatic first,
okay,
then 2 games off, then we play IG, and then we turn right around right after the IG game and play G-Rex. So we're in the chairs for 2 games in a row. So
here's what I do.
G-Rex.
I'd start Cody Sun, let him play Fnatic. If we get a win, amazing. If we get a win, that means we carry momentum into the IG game. And I think that we have the best chance of beating Fnatic with Cody Sun. So that's what I'll go with.
Well, here's the thing. If we win against Fnatic, then even if we lose IG, assuming we can take business against G-Rex, we could get out of the group.
Right. So go to a tiebreaker, probably?
IG game, yeah. We could like lock into a tiebreaker, or if G-Rex somehow beats Fnatic, then it could be outright.
Right.
Or I guess maybe even a tie with G-Rex in a weird way. No, that's not possible. But yeah, so it's kind of like if we play Rikara for IG, either way, it's okay.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is
if we lose to Fnatic, then that's really unlikely that we're going to get out of the group.
Right. A lot of things have to fall in our favor. I'm
very hesitant to say who we're going to see at this point, but here's what I do know. If we don't see Cody Sun in this next game, something's up.
Yeah.
And when I say something's up, I don't mean like bad behavior or something like that. Like we saw against, I guess right before the Liquid series.
Yeah.
I mean, something's up with Cody, right? Like he's not playing how he should be playing. Because look, as much as everybody wants to sit here when we lose and flame Prawley and say he doesn't know what he's doing with coaching and why is he starting Rikara, look, he's got way more information than you, and he sees what's been playing out in the scrims and in the just them doing solo queue or duo or whatever. He knows what's going on, and he knows that it's desperation time, right? He's not going to do something just to troll, or he's not going to do something just like being idiotic. He's going to agonize over this decision, and he's going to go with whatever he thinks has the best chance of winning, as he said over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that means if we don't see Cody Sun against Fnatic or G-Rex, then I think he has some issues. I think his play has suffered.
Yeah. If we don't see him at all these in this worlds, I would have serious questions about whether we see him next season.
Yeah, because honestly, then it would seem like if you're 100 Thieves, you're kind of hiding his problems, and maybe you want to trade him.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're trying to minimize.
Right,
it. That's how it would come off to me.
And that's the second half. So we spent a lot of time just talking about the next 3 games and which ADC you start for those. The second half, or I guess the other side of that coin is, playing for the future. So which of these two are you putting your stakes on for next season? Because right now, these are the 2 ADCs we have on roster, and we got to start somebody in spring, right? So I think it is one of those where if you don't have confidence in Cody Sun, if you know that he is not the future of your organization, do you get Ricard more time? It's a question you got to ask if you're making the calls. We can ask it too, but they got to ask.
Even if so, I think no matter what, we've got a problem to solve bot lane.
Yes. Oh yeah, big problem.
So whether that is fixing things mentally over the off season, or fixing things with team play in the off season, or finding someone else who can do the job, I think something would need to be done bot lane. So that's why I'm very interested to see who's going to start against Fnatic and G-Rex. Yeah. Like I said, IG is whatever. Give me the Mercurial option for that. I'll shoot the moon for that game. But I think that will be very telling to where the team is regarding Cody Sun.
Yeah. And let's not forget, this is a very discrete portion of the conversation about how we win the next 3 games. We still have big problems in mid. I would say that's, that's the other glaring issue out there. I think we all, I know you and I both feel like Anda has proven himself to be a world-class player in that he can hang with people. He can do his job. Is he going to make the all-star team for Worlds? Probably not, but he's not losing us games. I will say. Yeah. And then obviously someday is, the shining star here. I saw some people flaming Afro a little bit. I think that I don't have concerns about Afro. He picked up MVP in our game against G-Rex, so clearly he still has games where he can take over the game. And I think that he's in a huge way being limited by his lane partner at this point. So I don't think it's fair to necessarily judge him by the 3 games we've seen.
Yeah, it's hard to judge a duo laner's performance when the other half of the lane isn't really keeping up.
And if it was like 50-50, where all these things we're seeing, we're like, I guess it could be either one. You could argue that Afro should be doing this or that, but we just talked about all of the pretty clear mistakes that we're seeing from Ricard. So yeah, I think that I can with confidence say, we have a very solid support solution that I'm happy with at this point.
Yeah, and not to mention, as we've pointed out before, the communication and coordination and leadership that he shows for the team, on comms, outside of games, that sort of thing is an intangible, and he's clearly got that.
Yeah,
he clearly has it. You just watch his demeanor again, that long shot of him during that one misplay by Cody Sun against TSM. Just watching his demeanor through that, the dude is like rock solid.
He's a leader.
He knows what it means, but he even in that moment he's rallying the troops, right? He's like, it's okay.
Yep.
Knowing that the game is lost.
That's somebody you need to have.
Yeah, you need to have that, especially on our team where it seems like people aren't as extroverted and aren't as assertive with leadership.
And you look at the qualities and the traits of a team, right? We're a team that is hard to beat. And people talk about how frustrating it is to play against us because we just don't lose, right? And I'm using these terms as more, it's like, obviously it's not like an absolute truth, but
Yeah.
we tend to stick around a lot longer than other people think we should. I guarantee you that Afroman was a big part of that. If we swapped him out with a different support, I think we lose a lot more games a lot more quickly. Because I guarantee you, he keeps people from getting tilted in a lot of different situations. He keeps people, willing to fight.
And does excellent work on the macro calls. So
yeah.
Well, okay, so let's really quick just talk about this scenario for Wednesday, what we need to have happen, and then we'll wrap up. So, like I said, we go Fnatic, IG, G-Rex, and we're currently sitting at 1 and 2, which means that we absolutely need 2 wins to go through. So the most obvious path is taking down Fnatic and then getting the win against G-Rex. And then depending on what shakes out with Fnatic and G-Rex, we would potentially have either a tiebreaker or be an outright.
Yep. So yeah, very similar scenario to what we saw play out today. Overall, I don't like our chances.
No. But that's another thing. It's like we are right where we expected to be. That I tweeted that after the loss. Like at the end of the day, even though Fnatic loss was bad, even though the IG loss was terrible, we're 1 and 2, which is kind of what was expected from us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and after watching today, what happened with C9 and Vitality, anything's possible, right? I mean, I think that they're much more capable of making that run than we are. And since something crazy has already happened, maybe it's less likely in an entropic sense in the, in the world as a whole. But we're right where we expected to be. So there's no reason to be mad or flaming people online because we lost a game to a team that's clearly better than us.
Look, we are not going to be an 0-6 team. A lot of people thought we would be. We're not. It stings, some of the losses we've had and the way that we've lost. That always is going to hurt, right? Like there's pride there. But reminder, like you've got to have measured expectations in situations like this. We talked about that a ton, so we don't need to get back into it. But yeah, we got to win. We're still in it. We're still playing. It's second go around round robins, and we still have something to play for. So that's worth a lot.
So let's just have fun with it, right? Like, let's just enjoy.
Let's talk about that.
Being there.
What do you want to see out of the second day?
Here's what I want to see. I want to see a G-Rex win, and I want to see us not roll over and die again against Fnatic and IG. So if we put up any fight whatsoever against IG, if we get past 30 minutes, I'll be thrilled. And for Fnatic, I think we are capable of playing them close. Not because we are on equal ground with them in terms of talent, but they're just a team that we could extend the game with. And that's what I want to see. I want to see fight in the guys. I want to see them playing for pride,
right?
Basically.
I think that's you saying that made me realize what I want to see. And I kind of want to see a classic Thieves game. Like I want to see us make somebody sweat a lot to get that W. Knowing that for some of these teams, a win against us will mean that they are for sure going through, right? So if somebody's going to punch their ticket by beating us, let's make it really hard for them. And so I think to do that, maybe we go back to what we're just really good at, right? And maybe that means Cody Sun. Because the other thing is we have won a lot of those games and are in the very short career of this team. We've turned a lot of those kind of games into wins. So maybe it isn't. And I've kind of been calling for this a little bit. Like, let's just try something. Let's kind of be crazy. Maybe we just be less crazy. And we've talked about standard meta and how that just didn't work at all against Fnatic. But maybe it's comfort picks. Maybe it's champions that these guys know back and forth and just playing safe, not giving up a whole lot, not taking some of those crazy chances that result in us getting beat in 20 minutes, or just making simple mistakes. I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Well, certainly I hope that we can represent NA in a way where people aren't still mad that we're there. You know what I mean? Like NA fans don't feel like we didn't put up a fight. That's kind of what I feel like. And I think 2 wins against G-Rex and, you know, at least throwing some punches at Fnatic is really a way for us to do that. And that checks the box for me and makes me feel good about Worlds and makes me feel like, okay, the guys took this seriously and didn't roll over. So
right. No, I think I'm right with you on that. Like, let's get some fight.
Yep. I think it's actually really nice to have Fnatic first because it's the first game after like a break, and you know, you can kind of talk yourself back into things. Whereas like say we play G-Rex first, we might get caught in a trap. And if we drop the G-Rex game first, there's no chance we're going to take care of business for the rest of the day.
Right. No, yeah, for sure.
So and IG is, in my opinion, not a winnable game. So
I think this is the most ideal. Yeah.
I think it is. So especially that, you know, we turn around after IG and play G-Rex. It's like, so random aside. So my wife and I have been playing Tetris on like the NES Classic. So like classic Tetris or whatever.
Nice.
And you know how like when you clear a level, it speeds up, right?
Yeah.
And there's a point where like it speeds up. You're like, holy crap, this is so fast. How did this happen? But if you're used to that and then you go back to a slow level, it's like, this is the easiest thing in the world. So that's what I'm hoping happens with IG to G-Rex.
Right.
Where we, you know, everything's fast and furious against Invictus and we kind of adapt to that mentally, even if we get beat. And then when we play against G-Rex, it's like fish in a barrel.
Yeah. I mean, we can absolutely count on IG playing at the speed of light, right? I sent you a message the other day. I was watching the highlights of their game against Fnatic, and I think it was Deficio who was like, everything is chaos. This is insane. It's just constant aggression. He was like, this is out of control. Yeah. And that's just how they play. So yeah, we can expect that. So maybe you're right. Maybe we'll go back to G-Rex and be like, all right.
Right. The Mr. Papas 13 in chat says he disagrees. I think a warm-up game against G-Rex would add some confidence going into a Fnatic match. That's what I'm saying, man. I think there's a chance that you get trapped in that game. And if G-Rex is better than people think, and if we're thinking about Fnatic and not G-Rex, that's a problem going into that game. You see that play out in like professional sports all the time, like traditional sports. You see that happen all the time. The trap game where they're looking at the wrong opponent basically and not prepared for what's about to hit them.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. They got their eyes on the next game. I think we'll learn too what the mentality of the team is, right?
Yeah.
Because I hope they've been staying off social media. I know for a fact that Ricard has not been, because I've seen him posting. Yeah, it's you have time off. You've got time to kind of sit and look at stuff and read about what people are saying about you, and maybe hopefully not listen to this podcast. But you know, if we go into that Fnatic game without the right mentality, we're not going to pick it up. So our minds have to be right. And if they are, then we have as good a chance to win as I think we would at any point, whether we play him first or second. You just got to have your mind right.
Yep. Well, we shall see at 3 a.m. Central against Fnatic. I don't know how I'm going to manage that. We haven't had a game that early to watch, but
I'm going to go to bed at 7.
Tune in. Yeah. Going to split up. And like our last game's at 7, so it's basically you've got a 5-hour block of games.
Dude,
ooh, I don't know how I'm
tough from a player standpoint.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not middle of the night for them, but that's still just a long time to go between games.
Yeah, but I like it this way. It was really fun to see today play out with Group B. So this format is very exciting. Well, I think that's going to do it for us.
I think so.
A reminder to those who may not know or may have seen the World's jerseys going on sale, and the way they're saying it is that it's on sale all week. So it sounds like maybe they're going to place an order instead of doing like a limited number. We'll have to see how that plays out. That said, I wouldn't wait. If you're going to buy the World's jersey, I would just buy it right away. It goes on sale tomorrow at, was it noon Pacific? Is it?
I think that jersey is so sick looking, dude.
Yeah, it's like the geography pattern, very subtly
so
on the
good.
white. 4 p.m. Pacific is what it is. So
Okay.
that's 6 o'clock Central, and I may just have to buy this one too. I haven't missed a drop since like they had their like very first collection with all the stuff.
Right.
And that was before I even knew about her Thieves, but since then I've hit every single drop, and I think I'm gonna continue. Like I like the white. So
yeah.
I just may have to do it.
I know.
And yeah, YouTube chat says it is sick, but I feel like it would get dirty quick. So is the cream hoodie, my man, but I'm getting that one too.
It is. That was my thought. That was my one thought, is like, I wonder if people are going to hold that. 'Cause it's like, I'm just imagining you at the ball game, right? You get mustard.
Man,
done.
that's just battle scars. Well, let's have fun and be positive going into this, and just enjoy the ride, enjoy being at Worlds in the first year of an organization.
Not bad.
No matter how it goes down, I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of the coaching. I'm proud of the staff. I'm proud of the way that they reacted to the challenges that came up along spring and summer splits. Got us all the way to Worlds, where you're playing with the top 16 teams.
We got our first win at Worlds.
Yep, that's right. So
first of many.
Yes. Well, let's do this thing, and we'll be there to talk about this. I don't know if we'll pod right after that or if we'll wait until the weekend or whatever, but we'll surely be there to recap the action, and we hope you return and join us.
Probably depends on how sweet the day is.
Yeah, right. I might need to take off of work or something. Woo, baby. All right, let's wrap this thing. Thanks, guys. We'll do this again real soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.